If your coin total is mudded after Team of the Year and you want to get some back, make sure you check out MMOXP.com. Their link is down in the description. They're very fast, they're very cheap, they're very reliable, and if you use my code Rema, you can get 5% off all your orders. This supports the channel greatly, and I do very much appreciate it. So, what's up guys? My name's Ash, and welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video, guys, I've got some updated custom tactics and player instructions for the 4-1-2-1-2 formation. This is the narrow variation. But yeah, just before we get into today's video, guys, I'd very much appreciate it if you could drop it a thumbs up, as that does really help with the YouTube search algorithm. Also subscribe to the channel if you are new so you never miss out on any videos like this one, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you are notified when a video is posted. And with all that aside, guys, let's get right into today's video. Okay guys, so starting off with the defensive style, I like to use balance. This is because it gives you the greatest control when you are defending. This is the same for every formation I use because, like I said, it gives you greater control where you're able to press when you need to press and you're able to drop off when you need to do that also. So especially against those higher rated players, balanced is the way to go. But that being said, if you feel more comfortable using pressure tactics, then go right ahead. Now for the defensive width, guys, I'm currently using this on 42. The reason for this is you primarily want to cover the central areas because FIFA 23 is quite a narrow game. I know people like to go for those cutbacks, but it honestly doesn't matter how high your width is, people will still be able to do that. So it's better to have a lower width so you're more congested, you're more compact in defense, and yeah, it makes it a lot easier, trust me on that. Now moving on to depth, guys, I have this on 55. The reason I have it on 55 is because it's a very nice balance where you're not being constantly pinned back because your defensive line is so deep, and at the same time your defensive line isn't super high to the point where you're getting through balled every 5 seconds. So it's a very good middle ground, and I really do enjoy using this on 55. Now for build-up play, I have this on balance, but I kind of switch it up depending on how the gameplay is. So when the gameplay is nice, fast and responsive, you can get away with using fast build-up because you can really utilize the quick movements. But when the game feels a little bit slower like it normally does, balanced is the way to go, as the players are a bit more in sync with the connection, if that makes sense. It's a little bit slower and you're able to keep up, especially with input delay. Now moving on to chance creation, guys, I suggest using direct passing. The reason for this is direct passing is the only setting which will allow your attackers to penetrate through that defensive line. If you look at the diagram in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, you can see the white dots, which are your attackers. They're constantly moving around in those dynamic motions to move through that defensive line. If you look at something like balance, this really doesn't happen, very static, and it's very difficult to create chances. Now moving on to the attacking width, guys, I currently use this on 37. The reason I use this on 37 is because the 4-1-2-1-2 is obviously a narrow formation, so we want to keep it that way. If we up the width too much, it turns into a 4-1-2-1-2 wide, which we don't want. By having a lower width, our players are a little bit closer together, which means building up the plays easier because we can make those quick, short passes. Now, moving on to players in box, guys, I currently have this on 6. The reason for this is I want to get some players into the box, obviously, but at the same time, I don't want to overcommit the entire team to the point where we get counter-attacked, so I found a good middle ground in having this on 6. Now, for corners and free kicks, I have these both on 1 because I've got a corner kick tactic that I found out which works very well, where I don't have to cross the ball. Now, if you guys want to check that out, please be sure to click the link in the top right hand corner of the screen and you'll see how I take my set pieces. But yeah, these ones are down to preference. Now for the players you want to use, guys, in the 2 striker positions, because it's a two striker formation, you do have a bit more variety on what you do. What I like to do is, because it is a 2 striker formation, I like to go for a balance between the 2 strikers, where I have one more creative striker in Di Maria and then one more poacher in Robbie Keane. I like to get that balance between the two because it offers a nice dynamic. Now in the cam position, you're going to want to use a technical player, someone that's good at dribbling, someone that's able to pass the ball, shoot, basically do a bit of everything. The main thing you don't want is you don't want a clunky player in this position because they're like your main playmaker, and if the player can't turn, it's very difficult to actually create any chances. Now moving on to the left centre mid, we use a more box to box style midfielder, so I'm using the flashback Paul Pogba. You want somebody with very well rounded stats, somebody that can attack and defend, and if you can get it, a high work rate. But for example, this Pogba's a high medium and he works just fine. Now in the CDM spot, you're going to want a defensive player, somebody that's very good at defending, and if you can, get a medium high work rate because this player is going to stay back and you want the maximum contribution. Medium high work rate is preferred in this position. Now in the right centre mid spot, you're going to want to use an attacker. So I'm using Jairzinho. You could use somebody like Mbappe, Neymar, Messi. You're going to want to use an out-and-out attacker because you're going to see why this works in the player instructions. But just focus on getting a good attacking player in this position, someone with a bit of pace and a good attacking work rate. Now moving on to the fullbacks, I like to go for a bit of a balance between the two, where I have one more attacking fullback in Roberto Carlos. This is somebody that's going to assist us in the attack, and I have one more defensive fullback in Cafu. This is somebody that's going to stay back and add defensive support. Now you can have a bit of a balance between the two fullbacks like I do, or you could go for 2 attacking or 2 defensive ones. As for the centre backs and goalkeeper guys, these just need to be as good as you can possibly get them, and yet again Chesney is still in goal for chemistry. Now for player instructions guys, on the left striker, the more creative striker, I have stay central and mixed attack. We have him on stay central because we don't want him drifting off into the wide areas. We need him to stay central in the striker position, and we have him on mixed attack because I don't just want this player running in behind. Sometimes I want him to sit a little bit deeper so he can get involved in the build up and help create, which is part of his job. Now moving on to the right striker, our more poacher, we have stay central and get in behind. Again, we have him on stay central because we don't want this player drifting off to the wings. We need him to be central, and we want him to get in behind so he's always making those runs so he gets in the best finishing positions. And when he runs in behind, for example, Di Maria might sit a little bit deeper so we can play the ball into Keane from Di Maria. Now moving on to the cam, the only setting we have is comeback on defense. The reason we do this is because it's going to make this team defend in a 4-4-2 shape. The reason we make it defend in a 4-4-2 is because the 4-4-2 is a very good defensive formation. You have good width with it, and you've got the 4 defenders, the 4 midfielders, and the 2 strikers, so it's very defensively solid. By putting Chiesa on comeback on defense here, he's going to come back to defend as a left mid in a 4-4-2. So Chiesa left mid, Pogba left centre mid, Jorginho right centre mid, and Jairzinho right mid. Now moving on to the left centre mid, the more box-to-box player, we have him on stay back while attacking and cover centre. Now although he's a box-to-box player, we have him on stay back while attacking just so he can pick and choose when we send him forward. This gives us a bit more control and a bit more defensive support. And we also have him on cover centre so he defends as one of the middle centre mids in this 4-4-2 thing we've got going on. Otherwise he would go out wide and it would mess up the formation. Now moving on to the CDM, we have stay back while attacking and cover centre. The reason we have him on stay back is because he's a defensive player. We don't need him to go forward, so we want him to stay back. And we have him on cover centre so he defends as one of the centre mids in this 4-4-2 thing we've got going on. So yeah, it does work very well guys. Now moving on to the right centre mid, the one where we have an attacking player, we have get forward, get into the box for cross, and cover wing. We have him on get forward so he joins the attack because he is an attacker after all. We have him on get into the box for cross so he does transition into the penalty area. If you have him on balance crossing runs, sometimes he won't get into the box and you won't get the most out of him. So get into the box for cross, very important for this player. And we also have him on cover wing so he defends as a right mid in this 4-4-2. So yeah, works very well guys. Now for both fullbacks guys, we have balanced attack and overlap. The reason for this is the 4-1-2-1-2 is obviously a very narrow formation, so sometimes we need to get extra attacking width out of it. So by committing both fullbacks up the pitch, it almost makes it a front 4. So we have the ability to play very narrow, and we also have the wide option, so it makes it very good in attack. Overlap just means they will add the extra width instead of making those inverted runs. Now if this is too attacking for you, you could put one of your fullbacks on stay back, so you always at least have 3 back to make it more defensively sound. And similarly, you could put them both on stay back while attacking if that makes you feel more comfortable, but I just like having them on balanced attack and overlap. But yeah guys, they are my custom tactics and player instructions for the 4-1-2-1-2. If you guys have enjoyed or found this useful, I'd very much appreciate it if you could drop it a thumbs up, so that really does help the channel. Also subscribe to the channel if you are new so you never miss out on any videos like this one, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you are notified when a video is posted. And with all that aside guys, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.